Yeah, good morning everyone. So welcome to another day of training. I thought today we'll start off with rediscovering the purpose as to why we are doing this. So the ultimate idea of doing this free training, though we are not into training as a company, we are basically into creating softwares, mobile apps and websites. The reason why we are training is something that we want to do to the society, a service, and all the glory, all the credit goes to God. We are just tools. We are just tools that God is using, and we hope that this particular activity that we are doing will help many eligible candidates and deserving candidates, and everyone would find a great job. So we had started an initiative called Reach. So you can see more details about Reach on reach.trainingzola.com. And the idea there was to reach out to those who were not able to find an education, or those who were not able to find means to get educated either in programming like this or anything. So we had started that initiative in 2018, and we decided, okay, let's extend software training, because that is what we know and that is what we are able to do. So that is how this whole program of free training of software with 4 different levels started. So the first level is basically HTML, CSS and Bootstrap, where you learn how to make a website. The second level is PHP, MySQL and jQuery, where you learn how to make backend coding, and also some jQuery is for the front-end coding. And then level 3 is where you do a demo project, and then level 4 is where you do a live project. And as soon as you complete level 4, you will be eligible for a job, where we would be regularly sending job opportunities in the group also. And there's a WhatsApp group that we have where we discuss about the progress and doubts and all that. So that's why we started with that is the purpose of it. It's all because of God, and there's nothing that we take credit for, or we really deserve any appreciation. It's complete glory to God. So having said that, let me log into training.trainingzola.com/software so that I can start tracking our progress. So let me mark high on everything, because I have been balancing various aspects in that. Yeah. So coming to today's activity, so we decided that we will replace if with switch. That is what we decided yesterday. In conditional statements, we decided that we would be replacing if with switch. Let me start off the session and open NetBeans. So that is what we are going to use. And what we decided yesterday was that instead of having this if condition, which has an if else and an if else, like a nesting if and else statements, we will replace this with a switch, switch if conditional statement instead of if and else. So what I'll do is I will comment this. Now let me tell you a little bit about commenting in programming languages. What happens is, when you write a piece of code, like you wrote this particular logic, and you would like to experiment with another logic, or you would like to make some changes. In programming language, you do not just hit delete like this. You just do not hit delete and then start typing. The challenge with that is because you may always want to revert to the previous one. So you may be just experimenting with a new code, and you may want to revert to the old code, but because probably the new code did not work the way you anticipated. So I'll do a Control Z. So it's not good to keep deleting what you've done. It's always good to comment it, and that is to make it. When I say comment, it's basically you're telling the PHP code that please do not read this. I've just written it there. Ignore it completely when you're processing the file. So you're basically informing XAMPP or Apache, do not read that particular code. Ignore it. So you comment that particular code. So how you comment it? If you have multiple lines, you can do / and a star. That's how you start it, and then wherever you want to stop it, of course, NetBeans has automatically put the comments. I'll delete this and let me try to create it. Oh god, it's creating it automatically. Okay, so let me just try to do this. Okay, so if I come here, so I've started the comment over here. This is where it has started, and you can see that the entire thing has become light gray, which is basically indicating that all these will get ignored. Okay, so I want to stop that commenting over here below the if condition. So I'll have to do a star and I'll have to close with the /. So you'll see the rest of the thing has again come back to color, and only the comment has got applied over here. So this is very important, because once I start doing the switch statement, and if I make some mistake in switch statement and it is not working the way I want, I would want to go back to the old one. So I'll just remove the comment there. So when I remove the comment there, it automatically works. So I have commented the above one, and now let me copy the switch statement. So how do I do that? So yesterday PHP, when we were opening switch statements in W3 school, so anyway, let me go ahead and search it in Google. So you'll see that usually the first one is W3 schools, which is a very good speaking of the different syntax and all that. So you can see this is the syntax for switch, and this is an example that they have given here. So what I'll do is I'll probably pick up the example and not the other one, because the formatting is not done well here. It is just explaining. So here you can see there's some kind of a formatting being done. So switch, can you put conditions for switch? We have greater than and less than. So first single expression, the value expression is compared with the value if there is a match. Okay, so there's one small issue. Probably when I do it, I'll explain it to you. So I'll copy this part of the switch. I'll just copy it as it is, and I can come here and I'll paste it, and I can assume that it's not going to create any error. So I'll just move this to the right. I'm just hitting tab on my keyboard so that it moves to the right and it comes correctly. And so here the particular variable, of course they have put it as some fab color or something, but in our case the variable is number. So NetBeans had suggested, and I just pressed enter and it automatically got filled up. So this number I'm putting here, and the case for the number is if the number is okay. Now this is really I'm not sure if I can do like this, greater than 50. I'm not sure if, no, it's not working. Okay, so it doesn't work. Does it work like this? If it is greater than 50, no, it doesn't work. So that means we can only check for specific numbers. So that is, if number is 50, then answer like this. If it is 10, you answer like this. If it is 20, you answer like this. So you need, so switch statement, obviously you cannot use it for range between this number and this number. So that is something you need to be aware of, because if you are having a condition which is like this, greater than 50 and less than 10 and all that, switch is not an appropriate one. But anyway, in order to learn switch, let us still use it. So we can say here your number is 50, okay, and then here I'll change it as 5, and because actually the number on the top is 5, we have given it as 5, so I'll say your number is 5, okay, and then I'll also keep another one here, let's say 1000, and then I'll say just like that. I'll replace this as your number is 1000. Your number is, of course you can write anything you want. You can even just write 1000 is your so I restarted the live streaming because there seemed to be some problem. So I'll just recap on what I just told. I told about the switch statement. We created a switch statement here with 3 different conditions here. Okay, and when I gave 500 as a value for the number, the variable, the answer picked up was that your number is not 550 or 1000, because here if you see, that is what is mentioned in the default. Whereas if I change it, for example, to 5 or 50, let me change this to 50. I'll just delete this and I'll save it here. And if I come to the page and I refresh, so obviously this one should get picked up because the case is 50. Okay, so if I come to the browser and come here, and if I refresh this, you will see that it has picked up the first value. So that's how switch works. And now we'll go with the next one. We've completed switch and we'll go with the next one, that is loops in PHP. So we are completing the first section of PHP today, that is loops. Maybe I'll introduce loops today, and I'll probably cover loops a little more extra tomorrow, a little more in depth tomorrow. Okay, so what are loops? Loops are something which you would like to repeat regularly for a particular number of times, something that you would like to repeat. So the key word here is repetition, something that you would like to repeat. So for example, in real life situations, you have your 24 hours in a day which repeats itself. So every day repeats itself. So there is, if you look at it, your days repeat itself, your weeks are repeating itself, your months are repeating itself, your years are repeating itself. What I mean by repetition is, of course, it is changing in value. That is, today is 4th of August, so tomorrow is 5th of August, then comes 6th, 7th, 8th. Though the day names are changing, but it's basically a repetition of 24 hours. 24 hours, 24 hours, 24 hours. And the same thing with weeks. 7 days, 7 days, 7 days. There's a repetition happening. So what happens is, since this world is actually made up of repetitions, a scenario of repetitions, a looping that keeps happening, even in programming, when you're creating programs, you will face situations where you will have to repeat something regularly or do a loop of something regularly. And it becomes very important, this fundamental concept is very important in programming. So all programming languages have different types of loops, okay, different types of loops. So what I'll do is, let me just come here, and probably today we'll just start off with a different type of loops, and then tomorrow we'll pick up on one or two of them, and then we'll go in depth on those. So type of loops is what we'll do today. So for that, I'll once again go to Google. I will just say PHP loops. Okay, I'll just do PHP loops, and Google is already suggesting W3 schools, so I think I'll pick up W3 schools because it has what is required. So the first one is PHP for loops and W3 schools. So I'll click on that, and PHP for loop, you can see that it is mentioning one of the loops here, for loop. Okay, it picked up for loop. Okay, let me come to the basic one. So PHP loops, and there on the left side you can see, yes, I'll pick the first one, PHP loops. Okay, so this is PHP loops. So basically you have 1, 2, 3, 4 types of loops: while loop, do while loop, for loop, and for each loop. So these are the 4 types of loops that are there, and each one of them can be used. Now which one do we use at which time? See, I can probably give you a scenario right now. I can explain a lot of theory for you, and probably you may understand a little bit of it, but to be honest, you will have to use whatever you believe is the right one in your program, and then see whether you're able to achieve the result that you want. And you have to keep experimenting, and after you have probably tried and failed and overcome a challenge for a few days or few months, slowly you will intuitively know, hey, for this I think I need to use this particular loop. I don't think do while is going to work. I think we need to use while and not do while. So don't think too much right now on which loop. So there are 4 different types of loops in PHP. Now which one do I use? As I said, over a period of time you will understand that. I personally use for as the loop that almost everywhere I end up using for, and if not for loop, then I use while loop. These are the two loops that I perfectly use. I usually do not use do while. I've used them sometimes, but not many times. Hardly any I use do while loop. Okay, and for each, yes, as you get into programming more and more, and you handle variables like arrays, okay, where you have one variable with a lot of values inside it, arrays. I think in our course I have not mentioned anything about arrays. Have I mentioned? No, I have not mentioned. But array is an important concept. A variable with multiple values, that's called an array. So when you use arrays and when you want to loop through each of the array value, each of the value inside that variable, then you use something called for each. So for each is also extremely important because I'm not sure if you can achieve the same thing with the rest of the loops. You may, but it is probably going to be a workaround. But for each can be used if you want to loop inside an array through all the elements. So these are the different types of loops. These are the different types of repetition creating commands in PHP that's available. So what I'll do is I'll probably start off with while. Yeah, I think while is a good thing because simple while loops are simple. For loops are basically while loops, but it has a little more structure to it. You can put in all the conditions and starting and the everyday aspect of it or every loop aspect of it, everything inside the for command. Whereas in while loop, you will have to put the various aspects of that loop in different places. So though it is simple, while loop can be, you need to be a little careful with while loop. Whereas with for loop, the syntax itself takes care of what you are going to use it for. So what we'll do is I've just given a small introduction to loops. That is, it is basically a repetition. That if you want to create a repetition scenario in a programming language, you have to use different loops in PHP. So what we'll do is we'll learn about while loops tomorrow. What is while loops, and probably we'll put that in our file, in the file that we are creating, and we'll do that tomorrow. So for now we'll close it and see you all tomorrow. But as I keep saying always, please train and practice for at least 8 hours every day. Don't go with the speed that I am trying to train. Go ahead and try to complete everything in PHP and start off with your demo projects. You yourself come up with something and then start off with your demo project and go much on a faster pace. My training, I'm taking it very slow, little by little, so that